procession of presenters as we go through. So as I introduce them, I'm going to have them stand up or face out or raise your hand, whatever works for you, okay? Sean Kinsella is the first case manager that was hired by the University of Massachusetts. He is the face of the ABI unit at UMass. He has worked in the field of youth services for over 15 years in the United States and the United Kingdom, advocating for people with a range of disabilities. He's pursuing his master's degree, congratulations, in the management of aging services at UMass Boston, and he holds a bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Kent, with a special diploma in social administration from Oxford University. So we're very pleased to have him with us today. Our second presenter is Michelle Tabor. I like to call her Doc. She is the Senior Operations Director for the Brain Injury Program at Advocates, Inc. She has over 30 years' experience, a little older than Sean, in the field of brain injury rehabilitation. She began her career as a rehabilitation hospital setting as a vocational counselor, then developed the hospital's brain injury community reentry program, which I remember well, and she holds a doctorate degree in rehabilitation counseling and is a certified brain injury specialist. It's wonderful to hear you, Michelle. Next, wonderful, Eileen Chernoff. Eileen is the Vice President of Professional Relations for Community Rehab Care. She has over 20 years of experience in the field of brain injury. She has been known for her work in the areas of patient intake systems, readmission assessments, and rehabilitation operations. Eileen holds an MBA and a bachelor's degree in nursing. Thank you, Eileen. It's good to have you. Joy Reed. Vice President of Operations at the Rockland Area Multi-Service Center, Inc. She has over 20 years of experience in the nonprofit environment. She has specialized in working with individuals with developmental disabilities, traumatic brain injuries, and mental illness. She's currently oversees the Day and Rehabilitation Division of BAMSI, which is made up of over 50 programs, including family support, rehabilitation, and residential services for individuals with developmental disabilities and serious mental illness, as well as people with brain injuries. Joy holds a master's in education and counseling and has a bachelor's degree in psychology. So guest speaker not for people, and I want to underline this because it gets very confusing, they're not for people who are already living in the community. They are for people who are in facilities at the time they apply for the waiver. There's two waivers, as I said. One we endearingly call the N waiver, which is for people who are going to be moving into a non-residential setting. So people are going to be moving into their own home, their own apartment, with family, friends, or whatever, and need supports to assist them to do that, and that's the way it's going to be. And then we have what we call the res-ham waiver. That's a residential waiver for people who need 24-hour supervision. It's provided by staff of a professional. Okay, can you hear me now? I'm not repeating myself, so ask later. Okay. The residential waiver is for people who need 24-hour supervision. It's provided in a group living situation. There are staff there from a qualified provider agency, and people get all the supports that wrap around that as well. Each waiver, the non-residential and the residential waiver, offer a package of services that can be utilized and put in place to support people to successfully transition and then maintain an independent life in the community. We're not going to talk in detail about that today, but we're happy to answer questions about that. Important thing, to be eligible to participate in the waivers, there are certain criteria, and you may want to pay attention to this if you know somebody, or you yourself or somebody who wants to apply. You need to be a Mass Health member, that's Medicaid Mass Health member, or be eligible for Mass Health. You need to have experienced your brain injury after the age of 22. You need to be living in a nursing home, chronic or rehabilitation hospital at the time you apply for the waiver, and you have to have been there for 90 consecutive days. You need waiver services and can be safely served with them in the community, and the complement of services that make up your package, the cost cannot exceed certain caps that have been established through the Hutchinson Settlement Agreement. In addition, the obvious is there needs to be an opening waiver for you to be able to apply and get into. So those are the basic operational criteria. These waivers are a partnership, and I underscore partnership, between Medicaid Mass Health, the Mass Rehab Commission, which oversees and monitors waiver activities, and the University of Massachusetts Medical School's Acquired Brain Injury Waiver Unit, which does the eligibility and ongoing case management. I want to just digress for 1 second. I want to introduce somebody who's a very important person, unless she may not think so. Amy Bernstein. She's looking everywhere else. Amy Bernstein, Amy, stand up, because Amy is the Assistant Director at Medicaid on home community-based waivers, and I honestly have to say, if it were not for Amy, we wouldn't have two waivers. Amy spent her life writing these waivers with us for a whole year, I think, before we actually successfully applied and got them. By the way, Amy will be here to answer questions later too, if you have any technical questions. Okay? To date, since the waivers have started, there are 67 people who have successfully moved out to the community. That's quite impressive. And we have another 69 people who are in process at various stages of transition that the Acquired Brain Injury Waiver Unit case management staff are working with very closely to successfully move out to the community. So with that very brief and succinct overview of the waivers, I'd like to move on and introduce our first presenter, which will be Sean Kinsella, who will be talking about person-centered planning process and transition. So Sean.
Hello everybody, nice to see you all. You find out and worked with. So my name is Sean Kinsella. Can't hear. How's that? Can you get it out? Any better? No? Any better now?
Put it right up. Just hold it in your mouth.
I'll try holding it.
Thanks.
Now conflict of allegiance.
Sorry.
I'm going to say. So, I've been a case manager with UMass since the program began, and I work alongside the participants while they're still in the nursing facility. And while they're there, I help them to develop a transition plan for them to move into the community. And would I follow them in the community and meet with them and help them with their services. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the person-centered planning process. And what this is, it's something that's very central to everything that we do in the ABI Waiver Unit. It drives all of our services. Our whole philosophy is based on this. And it's a partnership between the case manager and the participant. And it puts the participant and their opinions first, above all others, above their families, above professionals. So it identifies the participant as the principal decision maker with the ability to direct their own care. And as a case manager, I might present options. I might be the person who arranges the care, but it's the participant that makes the choice. They might even choose to have no care, and that's okay. So how does it take place? The first thing that we do is the case manager and the participant get to know each other, and this is done using the person-centered planning document, and it's something that Catherine and I spent a long time doing together over a period of weeks and months. It asks a lot of questions about what their life was like before their injury and what life is like now that they've had an injury. And one of the great things about it is that it recognizes the individual as a whole person, not a set of clinical diagnoses. There's a fun aspect to it. So it asks things like, what kinds of people do you like to work with? Do you like funny people? Do you like quiet people? Do you like serious people? So it attempts to get to a person's preferences for the services that they're going to receive. What are their values? What's important to them for their quality of life? But most importantly, it asks about what are the participants' goals for being in the waiver. What are their goals now, and what are their goals likely to be once they move into the community? And then those goals that are expressed in the person-centered plan are used as the building blocks to develop their individual service plan. And that is based on the individual's needs as well as their goals. So common goals for people might be, I want to stand up, I want to be more independent, I want to get back to work, I want to help make my own dinner, I want more therapies, I want to live by myself, or I want to live with my family. But goals change over time. We all have goals. My goals this year are not necessarily what my goals were last year. And when a participant is in a nursing facility, often their only goal is to get out. You just say, like, just get me out as quickly as you can. And so those might need to be revised once they move. And sometimes participants might have difficulty in conceptualizing what is possible once they're discharged. Some people we've worked with have been in a nursing facility for 15, 20 years. They don't know what is outside and what is possible. And then you have individuals who are continuing to rehab. So their goals change on a regular basis. As they tackle one hurdle in their life, they have a new goal. So we have to rewrite our plans, we have to rewrite our services, we have to contract different providers to help them with their next goal. And then 3 months later, we have to do it all again because the goals are different again. It requires constant change, and it needs us to be flexible, and it needs service providers to be flexible because an individual's life is dynamic and flexible. So the goals drive the individual service plan, or the ISP, and the ISP then drives the services that are provided. So the ISP is the document that lists the participants' objectives and then authorize the services that are linked to their goals and their objectives. So providers are paid to deliver a service, and that service is linked to the goals. And then they have to report on those goals on a monthly basis, and as case managers, that's something that we monitor very closely. And what are the benefits to the person-centered approach. It gives an individual autonomy to direct their own care, and it promotes participant choice. The participant is invested in their care. It treats participants with respect and the dignity that they deserve as adults. It creates a close relationship between the participant and the case manager. Work very closely together as a team. From this process, there's an awful lot that I know about Catherine. All good. It's all good. And it encourages community involvement as well, and integration and normalized relationships. And one of the things that I think is most valuable is it allows the participant to be recognized as a whole person. I think when we are going through an eligibility process and we get records from nursing facilities, we're looking at medical information, we're looking at diagnoses, we're looking at ADL skills. It doesn't recognize all the fun things in a person's life, and that's where this comes in. Many participants later down the road, when they've been out of the nursing facility for 6 months, and I'm in a meeting with them and they say, oh, you know, well, I know you're not going to like that person because they're too quiet for you, you only like funny people. I'm like, wow, you really know me, you really understand who I am, because we spend a lot of time getting to know. There are some difficulties with it too. The goals and the services that are desired by a participant may not be the same as the goals that service providers and family members have. So you might put a participant in opposition. Providers and case managers might believe that decisions are not in the participant's best interests. And sometimes the level of advocacy that is given to participants or afforded to participants may overwhelm them. So we need to find ways to help support them in their decision making. But the person-centered plan, it's ongoing, it's a dynamic process. We have monthly meetings, and we have quarterly reviews with providers, and we adjust the plan with the development of the participant. And as case managers, we provide ongoing oversight. We constantly review the goals and the services provided. And I just wanted to say one of the other good things about it is it really does foster a team approach. And with that team can include so many people, and within UMass, we also have the ability to consult with occupational therapists, nurses, pharmacy if needed. And that's all incorporated into this. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to hear from Michelle DeBoer-Tabor, and Michelle's going to talk about the role of transition agencies and housing searches.
Everybody get it? So I'm going to talk about both transition services and also housing services. So I'll start with transition services. First by saying transition services from our standpoint have been probably the most creative kinds of things that anyone could imagine. If someone needs it and it's part of their transition, we'll make it happen. An example. We've been called upon to assist individuals with some of the purchasing things that they need in order to come out of a nursing facility. And that could range from needing first and last month's rent, paying some delinquent bills so that we can have their lights turned on, buying pots and pans because they don't have any, and any of the other nuts and bolts that they need to establish their own home again, to helping with transportation if they're going out to visit a day program or whatever kinds of services they're going to get during the day, arranging that transportation from the nursing facility so they can get an eyeball of that program and make an informed decision about what that program is. But the minor little link is how do people get there? So arranging the transportation has been one of the big things that for us in the TA service has, I think, been very helpful. Some of the the other things we've done is we've purchased a lot of things. And for me, I've worked in the rehab field for a long time, but never really knew what it was like to carry a credit card as part of my job. So I do that very nicely now, and I pull it out whenever necessary. But it means for me going to Jordan's Furniture or other furniture stores with the specs from the case manager and from the individual saying, this is the kind of furniture I want. One day I needed to go there and buy 2 lazy boy recliners. The salesperson was really confused. Why are you buying 2? I said, no, for 2 different people. So one person's really tall, kind of a big guy. The other person is of small stature. So we need to look at different kinds of lazy boys. And I want to get in each of them because I want to see how they're going to feel. And I want to know that the lever's on the left side for this person and on the right side for that person. The salesperson thought I completely lost my mind. But if that's what it takes to have the person move into the community and have what they need when they get there, for their home to be comfortable and safe, that's what we do. How I've approached that process, and I won't belabor this too much because I want to move into the housing search piece too. I have a little laptop, so between my cell phone that I sometimes do swear at and my laptop, I don't think I could do my job if it weren't for those 2 little devices. I do a lot of virtual shopping with people because for some folks, just the logistics of it, getting out to the community and doing all of the comparative shopping that they want to do, we do a lot of it online first with virtual shopping. And again, I was not an online shopper before I did this job. I have to thank Joanne Susie for helping me to get onto some of these websites and guiding me through the process. Michelle, no, you're using the wrong code, dear. This is the one you want to use. We got it done. But it means being creative. I think that's, in all tongue and cheek aside, it means being creative. And I think that for me, that's probably been one of the most rewarding things is with the ABI Waiver case manager, the individuals served, and their families and myself, we sit down and say, okay, what needs to get done and how are we going to get it done? But I have had some unusual requests made of me that have never been made of me before, like the 2 lazy boy recliners. So again, the transitional services to be used for whatever can help that person in the transition. And it can be things that are just very practical that have been barriers, like that first and last month security or any outstanding bills. That could be a huge barrier to someone leaving a nursing facility. Okay, I'm going to shift set a little bit and talk a little bit about housing searches. Again, I've been in this field for a long time. Had I ever done a housing search before? No, ma'am. I'd help people to get on Section 8 lists, and then there they sit for a long time. And that's not necessarily the only approach to helping someone get appropriate housing. It's probably not the most efficient at all. So when we get a referral for a housing search, that's definitely one of the things that we do. But more often what we do is we scour the housing market in the way that you or I might if we were looking for an apartment. We look under every stone. Where does the person want to live? What are some of the specifics that they're looking for in terms of access? Not only physical access from an accessibility standpoint in their home, but do they want to be near public transportation? Do they want to be within walking distance of, major commerce? What is it that's important to them? And then we attack the project literally by looking for housing in that area for that person, with that person. Again, handy laptop in tow, pulling up listings. And, Craigslist has become my friend with, all of the negative controversy about it. It is a phenomenal resource for identifying resources that are apartment related in someone's area. So I had to learn how to do a housing search. For me, I was very fortunate that I worked for an agency that predominantly helps people to move into housing. So I had some wonderful resources to go to who got me smart really fast. But most importantly, the listening part that Sean spoke about, what does that person want? What are they looking for? That's the most critical stage of the process. And once I get an understanding of that with my colleague, and I'm looking at him right now, if it weren't for Jeff, I couldn't do my job. If we listen really carefully to what the person's looking for, and then we do the diligence of the task, we find housing. It ain't easy. It takes a lot of time. And depending upon the geographic area that the person's looking at, it can be even harder. Like right around the city, right around the Boston area, there's a maximum value put on each of the Section 8 vouchers, even though they're mobile vouchers, the amount of that voucher is dictated by the town that the person wants to live in. So we need to do a little bit of our own homework before we go to the task. But even when we know those pieces of information, it really is laborious. But we find housing if we stick with it. And I think that's all I had to say.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Eileen, we turn on to the talk about the rehabilitation needs and services for people transitioning.
Good morning. I'm going to try very hard to keep it to 5 minutes so everybody has their opportunity. And just to let you know, we have had the pleasure of serving, I think, over 15 participants in the last year in various stages of coming out into the community on all of our locations. And it's been an interesting experience. It's been enriching for us. It's been a learning scenario for all of us, frustrating at times just because we were stumbling, I think, at the beginning. It was such a new and novel program that I think we all walked away looking back over the years saying, well, we really learned a great deal on many levels. One of the things that I did ask, I know some of the consumers that we've served pretty well, others I know less well, and we had the opportunity to meet, I think, once or twice too. But I wanted to talk, I will mention a couple of cases, not by name, but just by situation, just to give you some idea. And we've had some people come with a lot of physical disabilities, others with mainly cognitive disabilities, but all of them having received some array of PT, OT, and speech. And it just, I think, when I spoke with our staff about the experience, sort of looking back over the year, it's really been a very rewarding experience for them because most of the general people that we see come to us either from acute hospitals or regional hospitals, and it's been a shorter period in their life. These are very different scenarios, and I think when we've seen some of the outcomes, it's just really brought a smile to all of our faces to realize what this waiver has done for the lives of people in the waiver and really making it back out there. I think one of the lessons learned, if you will, the staff have said, is that there's many people involved. I think, as you know, Michelle has said, the case managers at UMass, the staff there, have been fabulous, and I think we've all gotten to know them. But one of the things that our team has had to learn is that they're dealing not just one or two people, they're dealing with a really wide array of people. And sometimes it's hard for them because they're used to sort of being in control and they've got to let it go. So we've had to sort of really sort of arrange over the years that, yes, when we have team meetings, there are multiple people involved, but the consumer is the one who really drives this thing. So you got to let go of some of that. Your goals may not be their goals, and it's a little hard sometimes for the therapist, but it's been a lesson I think they've learned. They've come to know and trust the case managers out of UMass and have found them very supportive. And one of the things they said to me is, really, some of these things couldn't happen if they didn't have the support of the folks at UMass. The one other thing they said is that sometimes at the beginning, I think where we stumbled is there were times there were so many people involved that they all felt like, oh my gosh, we're at 6s and 7s with each other. So now we've sort of gotten it down to a drill where when we have team meetings with the consumer involved and all the other players, that it's like, okay, I'll do this, you do that, and that way everybody kind of knows moving forward, we're really keeping it moving forward. We did notice, again, this is feedback from the clinicians, one of the sort of lessons learned, if you will, is they seem to feel that individuals who have been in a nursing facility, they sort of pick the cutoff time of greater than 2 years versus less than 2 years. And the lesson that they think, moving forward is that those who have been in the nursing facility less than 2 years seem to make more rapid progress than those who have been in the facility greater than 2 years. And again, I'm just using that as an arbitrary time. So one of the messages there that they said, gee, when people are identified to move out of the waiver, it would be a great time to get the rehab staff in the nursing facility re-involved again, even if it means just being up more, standing in the parallel bars, really getting, because of endurance issues, they did notice over time that those who had been in less amount of time really made goals and gains faster. It doesn't mean that they don't make gains, but they make them faster. So sort of getting people prepared would be, sort of a better way to go about it, perhaps, if they've been in a facility for a long time. And thing they noticed is the difference between the residential versus the non-residential. I think one of the things, and again, it's the therapist's observation, that when people are in a supported living residential situation, that sometimes there's, how can I put this, more accountability perhaps because the staff there are following through with the plan that we've all established and agreed upon. And the people who work in the residential setting, even though they're supportive of the client, the individual, they're not family members. So in some ways, it's a little easier perhaps for them to say, no, you got to follow through with A, B, and C, as opposed to anyone who goes home with a family member. Not that it's bad or good, it's just different because you're the spouse or the parent or whatever you are. And, you know, sometimes when somebody comes home, they're like, oh my gosh, I don't really feel like following through on that. It's a little harder when you're the family member who loves this person to say, yeah, but you got to do it. So just something to keep in mind. The other thing is we've seen, I just want to say this, you know, the two individuals I'm thinking of, one of them is a gentleman who made great physical gains as well as cognitive gains, but when he came to us, just to give you a little case study, he came to us and he has some significant hemiparesis, which he still has some. But when he came to us, he was in a wheelchair, he was pretty dependent, and has really made fabulous gains. He's now walking with a quad cane. He's not done yet, but it really, I think, I don't think he's here today, but it made our hearts just smile. I think we recently had our annual snowball, and he was a little reluctant to get all decked out. He was a little reluctant to get up and dance, and within a few minutes we had him on the dance floor, and he was grooving, and you know what? It just, I think, made our hearts smile to see how far he's come. And on the other hand, we have another gentleman whose case manager, I think, might be in the room, but I'm not sure, who came to us. He was fairly mobile, but he has a significant aphasia or language issue, but he's very communicative. And his gift to us is that he is still improving, he's still working, but he is extremely creative as an artist by background, and in fact has done art classes for some of our regular clients, and it's pretty amazing. His work is really very special. That's Sean, look at that. So I guess, you know, we've really had to learn to sort of open our arms and embrace the fact that, yes, we have to make it very consumer-oriented, but we are very pleased to be working, and as I say, we just so far have been really pleased with the outcomes, and I won't be surprised, as you said, Sean, some of the goals change over time, that we may not see people back again when their goals change a year from now. Thank you.
Thanks, Lee. Joy Reid is going to talk about challenges about developing a home for people who have significant medical or skilled nursing needs, which they have done very successfully. Everybody can hear me? No. Is that better?
Yeah.
Great. Best Phil Donahue impersonation. So I'm here to talk about developing a home for people with complex medical and physical challenges. BMT as an agency has transitioned 8 people through the ABI waiver to several different homes. 6 people were transitioned into new homes, and 2 people into existing homes. We're currently developing homes for 5 people who were transitioned into 2 new homes. We have partnered with UMass and some of the local developmental disability services programs, and so we actually have to find funding sources, which in itself another challenge that I won't get into, but I would say it's different. So that being said, there are really some primary key areas that you're developing a home with medical challenges that you have to really pay attention to. The key thing in the beginning is really trying to develop a home, the actual site location for people. We've transitioned many individuals into communities. The Roland lawsuit, we've done a variety of things. We've built from the ground up, we've tried to rehab existing locations, and we really find that just building from the ground up is really the most successful because people just have such really customized needs in terms of the physical property. So in doing so, it's always a challenge. People who haven't really located land or try to
about a full year to develop and to navigate that conservation, building setbacks. It is a real challenge. If anybody's embarking on it, I suggest you work with somebody who's done it before, because it isn't as easy as one might think it like this. And then the house design itself needs to be pretty refined. We've moved to some really specialized aspects of house. For example, we built a home with 48-inch doorways. That includes everything internal. So therefore, people need to evacuate the home. They can evacuate via the hospital bed or a geriatric chair if that need be. We pay attention to putting in extra outlets in a variety of bedrooms so that people have the kind of equipment that they might need. Whether it's communication devices or medical equipment. Likewise, we have showers that allow people to shower with roll-in shower heads, which are pretty huge. You have to have a safe and it's pretty amazing, but it is pretty critical. So we feel like we try to build a home that would really support anybody at any sort of stage in their life. So the hope is that people come and have some pretty significant challenges and meet those, but hopefully as those challenges may, or in some cases, may worsen, people can maintain their home. That's really our goal. Likewise, we try to be pretty proactive with our vehicles. We learned kind of the hard way to make sure you measure people's wheelchairs before you order the vehicle. Otherwise, they can't get in. And so we do now sort of standardize what we have. We have extra outlets in vehicles, we have places to secure oxygen tanks for people, and we have extended lists. So we've accommodated most people. Occasionally, we still get somebody challenges us and we have to go back to the drawing board, but we can be done. Likewise, I think another real key area is paying attention to people's medical needs. And I think Sean alluded to, you're looking at somebody on paper, and sometimes you go, wow, no one had that much going on. And in some cases, they do. In other cases, it's a different picture. So we really try to upfront get into the nursing facility and really meet with nursing staff, the person themselves, and delve into those records and really have a good understanding of what the person might need. And we do that ongoing, because certainly what somebody looks like today, a year later when you found them ready to move into the house, they look very different. So our nursing staff is really critical in the transition. And we currently provide homes where 8 hours a day to nursing, 24 hours a day of nursing. So it is pretty thorough. The other key piece for people like people is really transition. As you can only imagine how nerve-wracking it is to move from a nursing facility into the community, not only for the person themselves, but also for their family members, particularly with people with some complex medical needs. There's a lot of fear that you move from a nursing facility. And what is that going to mean in terms of someone's care ongoing, and how are they going to get the nursing needs and the medical needs? So I think it involves a lot of meetings, a lot of education with people. I know with Kathy and her roommates, we visit a lot of different prospective homes. They met with one another. She herself had many questions. It was great questions, questions I'd never gotten before, like, how are you going to get me out from the fire? What's your fire suppression system like? Great questions, you don't know, you want to know. So I think in Kathy's case, she spent a lot of time with her prospective housemates, and overall were a great fit for one another. But that was really, I think, a real critical piece. We also make great efforts to have people be involved in planning their home, picking out their furniture, choosing their bedroom color, interviewing their staff. And people are participating in the home fit, because it is different than living in a home and having to get along with people. And people, you have to trust the staff that they're working with. And I think another key pieces would also be to understand the nursing facility system. If you're transitioning somebody from a nursing home, I can say we did it early on. We made some mistakes. We thought, we can move 4 or 5 people out in one day. Wrong. That was crazy. What you don't really realize is people have to go through a discharge process. The
honestly, it's pretty successful. We have to be fair to that. And I think from really sort of the kind of real final piece is really, really good staff training, ongoing training, very comprehensive, and really having not just the nursing staff, non-nursing staff really understand people's needs. And I think, just thinking back to Kathy and some of her housekeeping experience, while it was a great, exciting experience, I think sometimes we were always to how stressful that can be. Honestly, we worked with many people with brain injury, but we never worked with people who had suffered strokes. And I think because people were so together and articulate, we didn't really get sort of what that emotional impact would be. I think we get it now, but thankfully, they hung in there and told us what to do. Now I believe we're going to see a video of Kathy and her home, and is there going to be any talking here, or are we just going to watch it? Just going to watch it. Okay, so let's get out of the way. We're going to try. You see that in the back? We need to dim the lights. Okay.
Doctors and therapists, but I've noticed that people were overlooked, and this bothered me. I felt so disconnected from society. Moving back into the community gave me a feeling of being a part of society. I quickly got to knowing and loving Taunton and wanted to make Taunton my home. The only challenge, if you can call it a challenge, was getting used to a new and less restricted and isolating environment. I looked forward to moving back to the community. I have my life back. I see my family more frequently, and I can be involved in the community without the restricted nursing home regulations. The privacy back is wonderful. Ask for more. I just love it. I feel like I am part of the community again. Living with housemates has given me the opportunity to have wonderful friendships. I have very good friends here that are very caring and looks after me.
very happy and satisfied to hear of how this has helped other people, and I hope to have all states to follow suit. Everyone has done a wonderful job. Thank you for raising public awareness and informing families and disabled people that they have a choice. This is as close to being home as it gets.
Okay, I think now Joy and Kathy are going to talk about your experiences, challenges, fears, going to share with people how you came to move into your own home.
Kathy has some prepared things that she wants to say. And at some point, she's willing to take questions.
I looked forward to moving back to the community. I felt so disconnected from society. Moving back into the community gave me a feeling of being a part of society. The only challenge, if you can call it a challenge, was getting used to a new and less restricted and isolating environment. I chose a group living instead of living alone in an apartment because living in an apartment can be isolating and for safety reasons. 3, I lived in Attleboro for 15 years, so I wanted to go back there instead of Twindham. I quickly got to knowing and loving Taunton and wanted to make Taunton my home. 4, life living with housemates has given me the opportunity to have wonderful friendships. I have very good friends here that are very caring and looks after me. It's funny, my first time at the day program, a participating day program person said some lady named Kathy got me out of the nursing home and he said he is living in a group home and is very happy.
I think I missed my cue back there a little bit. Kathy was answering some questions that I sort of posed to her, and I picked up on that. So just to maybe back up just a little bit, one of the questions, I think, and maybe I can help the answer part of it, was, why did Kathy select residential living versus going into her own apartment? And I think Kathy, from the beginning, I don't want to stick to you, but I spoke a little bit, it was very clear that she really wanted that camaraderie of other people, and that obviously she recognizes that she has some needs from nursing staff and staff for physical care needs, but also for communication support. And I remember meeting Kathy back into her nursing facility in Boston that she was in for quite a while. And while she was very polite, she was very firm that she was not going to live in Taunton, that she was only living in Attleboro. But she was not too open about about it initially, but the challenge was, of course, that to find a group of people that can live together and build the nursing supports and staffing supports around them. There is unfortunately an economic reality to do so, and people that were identified to live with you, some were living in Middleborough, some wanted to live in Plymouth, Kathy wanted to live in Attleboro, so I thought it was very good. It was kind of in the middle. And I found a lot we could build on. So, to Kathy's credit though, I mean, she really worked through, with her case manager at UMass, through her attorney, through the public representation, and she was open. She did come out and visit a few places, and I think liked the places, and liked some of the people that she met, and, she kept an open mind, and I also remember saying, meet the ladies, once you meet them, you're going to find that they're great people, and I can't imagine you're going to find a greater group of people to live with. So I know you've developed some really great friendships with people, so it's good to see that was the case. But she did have a list of demands. She was going to go to Taunton, and some of those were, if another place opens up in Attleboro, can I go? I think there were other things just around being involved in the selection of staff. I think one of your real concerns was that people could communicate with you and really help you with your communication devices. You can see, I'm not helping you with it. Infer what you want from that, but the level of ability that you need to have, stick to itness. So, to her credit, she did all those things. I think we met most list of demands that she had, and I haven't heard anything more about her wanting to move. It's a good thing. So I think she's been very happy. I think we'll leave it at that. Unless anybody has any. Okay. I think we hit on all of it. So if anybody has any questions, happy to answer them.
Thank you, Cassie and Joy. Pleasure of hearing from Joanne Susie, who moved out into her own apartment.
Okay, how's this? It's great for me. It's a good view. I just want to say that as an Italian woman who also happens to be a ham, when I was asked to be a presenter, and I said, oh, thank you, I would love that. And then I was told I had 10 minutes, and I had to bite my tongue because I just wanted to say, oh, is that all? But thank you for asking me to be presented. I am so honored to be here with all of you and share my story. I have so much I want to say, and I had to bite my tongue as each presenter was speaking because, of course, I wanted to add to what everyone was saying. Well, let me tell you what it's really like. But I've had the honor of being in the ABI program for a year now. I was delighted. I was so delighted when I was able to when I was accepted into the program, when I met my case manager and the nurse clinician who was part of the program. And it's, I just have to say, when Sean talked about client-centered program, it truly is. I'm a very Italian direct woman. I told it like it was, and my case manager knew what I wanted, and very, very accommodative. And I just love all the programs that are offered, all the services. Of course, as a coach, I want to add coaching to this program because I want to be here to help people get out into the community because, as I believe Kathy said, home is where it starts. Absolutely. I can honestly tell you that I'm grateful for the services that I had at the nursing facility. I'm very grateful for the staff there. They took wonderful care of me. Everybody was wonderful, but I was just surviving there. And now that I'm in my own apartment, I'm thriving. And I've been out for a year, and I just see progress being made all the time. I am more able to do what I want to do. I set my own schedule, and as an entrepreneur, I consider I'm running my own business, my self-care business. With the help of my daughter, who's right here. I don't know what I would do without her. Let's take a deep breath, sorry. These are tears of excitement and joy and honor. I can't look at my daughter. And what I want to say to you about the ABI program, to explain it to you, this was information that came to me, and I know it was from Divine, because without Divine I would not be here. You know the saying, if life throws you lemons, make lemonade. Well, what if you don't know how to make lemonade? ABI holds not only the recipe to make lemonade, but all the ingredients to make it and to tweak it to your liking. And that's what, and I think that really explains the ABI. And that's how it has served me. When I was accepted into the program, I saw a huge relief on my daughter's face. Am I right, Chuck? I went from doctors not knowing whether I was going to live or not, or ever be able to walk or not, to here I am, and I'm thriving. I'm really thriving. I'm so grateful to be alive. I don't want to waste a minute. And that's the other beautiful thing about being in my own apartment. I get to enjoy every moment. I'm in a community with other wonderful, very upbeat people. I've been very blessed, very blessed. And every day is a new day, it's an excitement. Every day is a new birth for each of us. And when I just sing a song to myself. Anybody who's like around my age would understand what a difference a day makes, 24 little hours. And if a day's not going the way I want it to go, I just will sing that in my head. And knowing that tomorrow I'm going to wake up and it's going to be a different day. And I'm just so grateful to wake up. I can't say enough about it, oh my gosh. What I want to say also is, thank you to Kathy for this, helping this waiver program come to fruition. I am so grateful to her. I waited since I've known about the program all this time. I've just met her today for the first time, and I am so grateful, Kathy. Thank you. She is truly grateful for us all. And I want to help people that have had brain injury or anyone that's having some difficulties in life. There is so much to be grateful for. If you're having a bad day, if you're not feeling happy, think of something that you're grateful for, and believe me, that will change your mood. You will make yourself happy by just thinking of something. And we have so much to be grateful for. I mean, from my perspective, I'm so grateful that I have cognitive abilities, although maybe some of my family members might disagree with me. That I am able to speak, I'm able to see, I'm able to hear, I'm able to eat, and I am able to walk. And I have set my new goal with the program to be wheelchair-free within the next year. Walking in here, not in a wheelchair. That is my goal. Oh my gosh, I'm going to say it in front of an audience.
It's true.
My mother always told me to be careful what I say. So I also want to say that as a life coach, I am here to help people through difficulties, and I believe my stroke has absolutely given me the forum to do what I was put on earth to do, and that is to help people and inspire people and help people work through any fears. And I certainly understand the fears of transitioning from a nursing facility to living on my own and being the independent person that I am. I wouldn't have it any other way for myself. And I wanted to make my own food, and I wanted to set my own schedule, and that's what I didn't have in the nursing home. And I wanted my own space. I love to meditate, I love to exercise, I love to read, and I wanted the quiet for all of that. My oldest son was concerned, knowing how much I love to talk and how social I am, he was concerned about me being home alone. And I said, oh, Christopher, don't worry about it. I'll always have someone to talk to. I'll talk to the walls if I have to. But that was his concern. And to see the faces of my family members and my friends in my apartment as opposed to in the nursing home is just a blessing. It's just amazing. No one has to come to the nursing home to see me. Now people can come to my own home and I can make them coffee and I can make them dinner. And that, again, I'm Italian. What do I want? I want to feed everybody. So I need to serve the purpose of my nationality. And that's what and I'm able to do that. I'm able to set my own schedule and do what I want to do. And with the help of the program, I have my daughter who can take me grocery shopping even on days when she doesn't feel like it. She takes me and we go grocery shopping, and she calls me Crash because I will sit in one of those motorized cars and we just laugh our way through the store. It is so, I'm having more fun in my life now at this age than I have my whole life, and I am committed to getting younger as I get older and have more joy in my life than I did when I was young. My mic. I might take this home with me. I have business cards up here for anybody who's interested in contacting me for a free coaching consultation, or you know someone who needs some help to work through the fears of transitioning from a facility into independent living, getting back into the community. So help yourself. The cards are right up here, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. And honestly, you do me an honor if you ask me to coach you. It is absolutely my honor to do that. It is the gift that God has given me that I just want to share. And it's therapeutic for me when I'm coaching. So again, it's a gift. Anybody that's interested. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joanne. If anybody ever questions, Joanne said, that you can't do something, these are the two women who say you can do anything you want. Anything. These two women are incredible. Thank you both. Question answered. Just a couple of things I want to let people know because they may not have heard me earlier. But as Joanne has spoken and Kathy has spoken, the opportunities that these waivers offer people are just incredible. And with those opportunities, there's a new open enrollment for the acquired brain injury waivers happening starting May 1st. And there's also a new exciting twist to the non-residential waiver that I want Amy just to speak very briefly about because it's a really good opportunity for folks, and we are very anxious and very hopeful that as many people as want to will apply for this.
So, as Debbie said, we're starting an open application period at the beginning of May, and up until now, people have had to send in an application during a designated open application period. At the end of that, we wait a few days, and then we run a lottery, and then we start assessing people in the order that their lottery number is assigned. And that was both for the residential and the non-residential waiver. We started that way because we had a limited number of spaces in these waivers, and we weren't sure how many people were going to apply for them. So for the residential waiver, we're still going to operate that way because we have more people applying than we have openings in the waiver going forward. But for the non-residential waiver, we still haven't filled all of our slots in the waiver. So starting May 1st, people can apply for the non-residential waiver at any time. They can just send in an application, whether it be May 1st or June 1st or whenever is the right time for them. And we will just assess them in the order that we receive the application. Because we just wanted to leave that more open. We had some people who hadn't been in the facility 90 days when we had an open application period, and a month later they met their 90-day requirement, but it wasn't an open application period. So this will just give people a little bit more flexibility to apply for that waiver whenever they want to. And I don't want to take up any more time, but I just want to say that we're hoping that that will help us to serve more people in our non-residential waiver going forward.
So, I don't know, there were these handouts up here, Miles, those copies of applications and other things, were those distributed?
Yeah, those are for the family forums that we're holding over the month of April.
Okay, great, so,
If you stop by the BIA table, we've got all the applications with the fact sheet, we got the flyers for the family forums, brochures, you name it, we got it all.
terrific. Please, if you know of anyone, if you yourself are interested, please go pick up that information. Just before we jump into question and answer, there are a couple of people and faces I want people to know. I want to introduce Carrie Zanke, who's the Mass Rehab Commission Acquired Brain Injury Program Manager. Carrie? January 1st or so, and is the face to the Mass Rehab Acquired Brain Injury portion of the Acquired Brain Injury waivers. I also want to just recognize and thank Catherine Rucker from the Center for Public Representation. Catherine, stand up. And I want to thank Shannon Burns for coordinating all this. She made it look easy. With that, there's probably other people we should be thanking, but we don't have time. With that, we're going to open it up for questions and answers, and if you could, yell it out, because we only have this one mic in the front for the presenters who you may be asking questions of. So, questions? Yes, ma'am.
Nice to see everyone today. My name is Whitney. I have a question. What are the challenges that you face to try to get this people in the inner city who are really challenged with their insurance capabilities or money or whatever? Have you had that experience? Can you know about that?
Michelle, do you have something? You're shaking your head. I mean, I think you...
It's a challenge.
It's a challenge, yeah. I mean, it's a challenge. I think that one thing to keep in mind that the waivers are available to people who are on Mass Health or Medicaid, so other insurance really doesn't count here. I think the outreach across the state has been a challenge in general. I don't know that one geographic area has been easier than others, but I do think inner city, and one of the forums, Miles, is going to be in the Boston area?
Cambridge.
Cambridge. Okay, so that will be one of the forums to make sure people know about and get to. But I think you're bringing up an issue that we were talking about earlier this morning, which is how do we get the word out? You know, there's 100 and some odd people in this room, and that's fantastic. But we have a lot of opportunities for people and openings, as Amy just said, that are not being utilized. So how do we do that? So anybody here who can help with that needs to help with that. So we engage you and ask you to help. Yes? Oh, it's Pam.
I just wanted to add to that is as Debbie pointed out, we have materials at the BIA table. We can give you a big stack to bring back with you, and if we need more, we can send them to you. So
course, if any of you work in a facility, a nursing home, a chronic or rehab hospital, if I were you, I would invite Joanne Susie to come and do a presentation. Okay? Here's her card. All right? And Kathy may be willing to do that too. Would you, Kathy? Yeah? Okay, I think we got an absolute yay on that one. All right. Okay, other question. Yes, sir.
I have two questions. Is the expense formula visible, accessible, that can be downloaded and compared, or is it a secret formula?
It's a secret. We're the state. Trust us. Are you talking about the cost cap?
Yeah, the cost
Okay.
cap.
No, that's not a secret. I've got it written down right here somewhere. Amy can help me. Right now, the cost cap for the N waiver, the non-residential waiver, is the compilation of waiver services, state plan services, etc., cannot exceed about $99,000, give or take a few dollars here and there. And if you're going into the residential waiver, your compilation of services cannot exceed about $194,000. No secret.
Okay,
There you go.
And
That's a lot.
are the housing costs, say when an agency develops a house,
Yep.
are those costs attributed among the people who are going to live in the house as part of the cap?
It's a little more complicated
Oh,
than
okay.
that. I mean, the first piece that I say that provider agencies who develop homes are very generous because a lot of this is done on their backs and through their bank books, okay? But the provider agencies buy the property, develop the property, whatever it might be. They pull the property together, they do the renovations if that's necessary, they furnish common areas, etc. The actual services that are paid for through the waiver are the person actually living there, the staffing they're getting, some services around purchasing things to furnish their own rooms and their own individual areas. So the costs are kind of distributed in different ways.
Okay, that makes sense. And what's the geographic distribution of residential waiver house?
We have homes as far out as Western Mass. Abden is here from ServiceNet has developed. We have homes in the Pittsfield area as well with the Berkshire County ARC. We have obviously a number of homes in the southeast area with BAMSI. We have homes in the Boston metro area, Mass Association for the Blind. We have VinFin opening a program for us. We are all over the state. We have some homes in central Massachusetts. So we're pretty much northeast. We're pretty much everywhere.
Thank
There are
you.
not a lot of homes right now, but there will be more.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, Miles is saying we have 10 minutes. Okay, we'll move with the red here and then you.
My understanding is that this program started almost 3 years ago. It was supposed to last for 3 years. It's supposed to end this September. So what happens then? Because I have a lot of people who will look at
You can leave your money on my table right here. The 3-year mark is any new home and community-based waiver, and Amy, correct me if I'm wrong, is always approved by CMS for 3 years. The state then, in year 3, will start to develop an application to renew and extend for 5 years. And we hope to get that approval. There is absolutely no reason to believe we would not if Amy does her magic again. So the 3 years is really more, this is how CMS works and waivers work. Okay, so let me just say this, there is nobody who wants to pull the rug out of the pool. I mean, this is just too exciting, there's too much of a commitment here. So it's just, technicality more than anything else. Okay?
so reassuring. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. There was somebody behind our front, this lady right here.
Sure.
Welcome.
I was just concerned that the residential or non-residential living will extend out to places like our facility, like
Yeah, good question, absolutely.
that are at home.
Let me explain for people who don't know, adult foster care is a Medicaid state plan service, not a waiver service. And people who are coming out under the non-residential waiver could certainly opt for adult foster care as their living situation, without doubt. I think the biggest challenge we've had, don't speak for UMass, but I will, is finding adult foster care providers like you who want to serve people with brain injuries and want to learn about the disability and do it well. So it is absolutely an option. It's just not considered a waiver service. It's an option under state plan.
voucher. So we approach the landlord and say, do you want to accept a voucher? Have you ever done this before? Can we help you through the process? It means bringing more landlords into the fray.
So you have a voucher already?
Right, exactly. So they're mobile vouchers that are all issued through LID, the LID Housing Authority. And so if that's, I don't know all of the technical aspects of it, other than it has been a carte blanche. It's been very, very effective. But we've worked with many landlords who've never worked with Section 8 program before. And they say, sign me up. Because for them, it guarantees, that 70% of the rent, and they're going to get the other 32. But it's really a win-win in many ways. Even if they don't know what they're doing, we've got a lot of resources through the ABI waiver and also through housing at the waiver, and also through LID housing and through Maggie Dion, who just walk us through the intricacies, and there's plenty of them.
And now the other question about the LID housing vouchers is, I understand that they expire very quickly. Is there any way to extend those?
We've been able to get extensions. From what I understand, when they're given to the person, they have a time limit on it. But you can apply for at least one extension and maybe more. I think there's a lot of goodwill and good faith. We have to work within the rules always, but there's a lot of goodwill and good faith too.
For people who don't know, these are a set of special vouchers that the federal government released specifically for people to get out of, for priority to get people out of facilities and back into the community. We've been able, I think had 8 of those vouchers for our ABIN participants to help them access housing. So, there's a lot of things underway at the federal level as well as in the state to really push to help people get out of the facilities.
I think I just want to add to that in addition to mobile housing vouchers, there is also the ability to get on subsidized housing lists through local housing authorities. Michelle mentioned Maggie Dion. Maggie works with the Mass Rehab Commission, so we have